Good morning and welcome to Dale Carnegie's Jumpstart. I'm Susan Spader, and if this is your first time with us, welcome. We are so delighted that you have joined us this week. And if this isn't your first visit, welcome back. You know, we have been through so much these last few years, and it's really impacted the way that we do business. A lot of organizations are finding that as a result of the pandemic, this global health crisis, and the way that we had to adapt to new working conditions, our employees now have kind of decided that they like working remotely. And we're faced with, do we bring people back to the office? What does the actual day-to-day work environment look like now? And so for employers, the challenge is, how do we create that environment so that people want to come back? Or maybe the question is, do they even need to come back? Case in point, every organization is approaching this from a different perspective, as we should, because every organization is different. For some, full-time back to the office really is imperative. Other organizations are looking at hybrid situations. And some are reducing that physical footprint and increasing their remote workforce. Dale Carnegie actually had a research study that we conducted this year. And it really uncovered a very mixed bag of messages. The vast majority of employees want to work either completely remote or they want to work in a hybrid situation. And at the same time, employees felt like they were more efficient when they were in person. So what do we do with this paradox? How do we address employees who say, I don't really want to be back in the office full time, but yet I feel like I'm more effective when I'm back in the office? So there's several things that we need to consider that can influence whether people want to have that desire or willingness to return back to the office. First and foremost, are people feeling physically and emotionally safe coming back to the office? The other thing we need to think about is flexibility. Most surveys are letting us know that employees want to come back to the office on a limited basis, but not full time. So really, a small percentage want to work 100% remote. But being flexible means that our employees can choose not only how many days they work in the office, but which days, and what is their schedule that's going to be best for them. Another great consideration as we talk about returning to the office is the feeling of connection. How can we establish and build that environment where people feel like they're connected? You know, it's hardly surprising that one of the impacts of the pandemic is people felt very isolated and they missed the connection and the camaraderie with their colleagues. And so looking for opportunities that we can encourage people to collaborate and work together and just connect will build that desire to come back to the office. So we might need to find some new ways to help facilitate that. Maybe it's identifying a local charity that you go and volunteer as a group. Perhaps it's having a catered meal or lunch to bring people back together. Another key part of feeling connected is that relationship with your immediate manager. If employees trust that that manager is looking at them from that whole person point of view, they're going to be more willing to come back in. If they feel like their manager is only concentrating on productivity and efficiency, they're not going to be as willing to come back. So we need to encourage our leaders to take the time to really engage with their teams, to get to know them as a person. Because when managers are looking at that whole sense of well-being, they're going to have an easier time than those that don't. And so focusing on those relationships is going to be an important takeaway. And let's not forget about the fun part. Celebrating birthdays and office parties and holidays, just those get-togethers when people get to interact and reacquaint or build new relationships is going to be an important piece in getting people back to the office. A last thing to consider is how are we promoting the development for our employees and team members? Probably one of the biggest negatives that came out of remote work during the pandemic was the lack of development opportunities for our employees. They really missed those opportunities to grow their skills, to learn new information that could help them or help them grow in their career progression. So now's the time to take advantage of your office almost as a development or career hub, bringing people back in for training and development opportunities. This is especially important for millennials and Generation Z. A recent study showed that 59% of millennials said that opportunities to learn and grow was the most important thing to them as they were looking at employees and jobs and whether or not they wanted to go back to the office. Maybe it's a mentor that they can connect with when they're in person back at the office. It doesn't have to be formal development. It can be more informal, but making that key will help bring them back to the office. And then finally, we need to think about recognition. It is an important thing for people to feel like what they do matters, and whether it is a formal or informal recognition, it's a great incentive. So as you consider building your return to the office plan, know that it's not one size fits all. There are things that we can do to really help drive and create the environment that will be best for your organization as well as for your employees and team members. We've got a great white paper on empowered employees and keeping them engaged. I hope you'll take the time to download it because it will give you some great information and tools to help you as you build this new workforce. Thanks again for coming today, and we'll see you next time on Dale Carnegie's Jumpstart.